Okay, I will now call to order the 1627th regular meeting of the Thornton City Council. Before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone in the audience to please turn off or silence all electronic devices. The audience seating area is provided for observing council meetings from a seated position only. Audience members wishing to stand must stand in the aisle along the rear wall opposite the council dais. Also, if there is anyone in the audience who needs assistance in listening and or participating in the meeting and has not indicated so on the sign-up sheet, please raise your hand and a staff member will provide assistance to you. Thank you. Item 2 is Pledge of Allegiance. Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3 is a moment of silence. Please join me in a moment of silence. Item 4 is land acknowledgement. Councilmember Algie, will you please read the land acknowledgement this evening?
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. The City of Thornton respectfully acknowledges the land on which we stand is the traditional territory of the Apache, Arapaho, Cheyenne, Comanche, Kiowa, Lakota, Navajo, Pueblo, Shoshone, and Southern Ute tribes and nations, who were the original stewards of this land. We honor the history, culture, and contributions, both past and present, of these indigenous nations and tribes. We pay respect to their ancestors, elders, and present-day community members, and extend our gratitude to the indigenous peoples for their ongoing care and stewardship of the land, water, and resources. We also recognize the lasting impact of colonialism, forced removals, and continued injustices that have affected indigenous communities throughout history and into the present. We also acknowledge the labor of enslaved Africans and their descendants who worked this stolen land for the colonists and who continue to disproportionately face economic oppression, racism, violence, and exploitation. May this acknowledgement serve as a reminder of our responsibility to be mindful and respectful of the land, its history, and the indigenous communities who call Colorado home, and to use it to guide our policies and decision-making for the people of Thornton.
Thank you. Number 5 is a roll call of council. Clerk, will you please read the roll of council?
Mayor Coleman, Councilmember Acunto.
Here.
Councilmember Algie.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ayala.
Here.
Councilmember Byrd.
Here.
Councilmember Martinez. Councilmember Morris.
Here.
Councilmember Russell.
Here.
Councilmember Salazar.
Here.
Quorum is present, Your Honor.
Thank you. Item 6 is approval of the agenda. Are there any staff changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda. I would love to take this moment just to make a couple of announcements and remarks, if I could do that. First, I do want to introduce, yesterday, Jessica Prosser joined us as Assistant City Manager. So I'm going to have Jessica stand somewhere behind me. So just a reminder, Jessica is joining us. She was the Director of Housing and Community Services in Aurora. And there she was responsible for community development, code enforcement, animal services, community engagement, youth violence, and homelessness efforts. Prior to that work, she had roles in sustainability and also in planning and in the city manager's office, both in Aurora and Arvada. So we're thrilled to have Jessica joining us. She will be supervising our planning, our economic development, our parks and recreation, and then also she'll be taking the lead in developing and consolidating our new Department of Community Programs. So thrilled to have Jessica joining our organization, and I know she's going to help advance both the community and the council's goals. Second piece, and I know council members will likely make remarks later too, do just want to recognize both members of the community and staff for the response to the fire a couple of weeks ago. And so, clearly our first responders were critical in meeting the needs there, but do want to hold up members of the infrastructure team that were helping with transportation and with water levels, our communications teams that were helping with communication, and, a lot of internal service support, things like IT, to make sure that we could get our emergency operations center up and running. Also want to thank community members who supported one another, that cooperated with our first responders. And I'd be remiss not to thank the council for supporting us through the incident. And I know we have one Ward 1 council member on that's virtual with us, the other not in attendance. And I know we've gotten calls from the public in our office thanking the Ward 1 council members for their attention and support to their community through the incident. So thanks to all that were involved.
Council, any changes to the agenda? Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Approval of the agenda as presented has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? If not, clerk, please poll the council.
Councilmember Kunto,
Yes.
Councilmember Algie,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ayala,
Yes.
Councilmember Byrd,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Councilmember Russell,
Yes.
Councilmember Salazar.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously, Your Honor.
Thank you. Let's see. All right. Item 7 is presentations. Item 7 is a resolution declaring March 26th as Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month in the city of Thornton, Colorado. Who would like to introduce this item?
I would. A resolution declaring March 2026 as Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month in the city of Thornton, Colorado. Whereas colorectal cancer is the second leading cause of cancer-related deaths in the United States among men and women combined, and whereas colorectal cancer is one of the few cancers that can often be prevented or detected early through timely and appropriate screening, yet approximately 29% of eligible Colorados are not up to date on recommended screenings, and whereas colorectal cancer is leading cause of cancer-related deaths among individuals 20 to 49, underscoring the importance of awareness and early detection for adults at all ages. And whereas early detection through screening can significantly improve survival rates, reduce the severity of treatment, and save lives. And whereas in Colorado in 2025, there are approximately 2,130 new cases of colorectal cancer and an estimated 750 deaths attributed to the disease. And whereas the national goal established by the National Colorectal Cancer Roundtable is to increase timely colorectal cancer screening rates to 80% among all Americans who are eligible for screening. And whereas observing Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month provides an important opportunity to educate the public about risk factors, symptoms, prevention strategies, and the life-saving value of regular screening and early detection. And now therefore, it be it resolved by the City Council and the City of Thornton, Colorado, as follows: that March 2026 is hereby Colorectal Cancer Awareness in the City of Thornton, Colorado. And I ask for its approval.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the resolution. Is there any discussion? Being that you read the resolution, you can go first, Councilmember Byrd.
Yes, this is a matter that's very personal to me. This is a disease that has been hit by many within our community. A few years ago, my father passed away from colorectal cancer. Sorry. He was diagnosed at stage 4 during his first screening. So, sorry. I didn't think that was going to happen. I would greatly encourage all of our residents to make sure you stay up to date on this and go forward with getting screening done as soon as possible. Because as I said, my father was diagnosed stage 4, the very first screening he had. So it's critically important that everybody stays up to date on this. Thank you.
Councilmember Algie?
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. So some folks know that I was adopted as a child, as an infant, and 3 years ago I found my birth mother. But with that news also was the awareness that there is colon cancer in my birth family. And I had my first screening back in 2016. I was clean as a whistle. But 3 years ago when I had the news, I went to my family doctor and she recommended, though I wasn't due until this year for a colonoscopy, she said, let's go ahead and get one scheduled. And sure enough, I had 2 precancerous polyps. So if I had waited until now, I might be in the same position, like Councilmember Byrd's father was. So I second my friend, Councilmember Byrd, that please get screened, not just for colon cancer, but just for any type of cancer, because you just never know. So I thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to say something about this too. Recently, I think if you're in political circles in Thornton or in the Democratic Party in Adams County, you might know Leah and Cassidy. They're a couple really young, super vivacious, active folks. Last year, at 35 years old, Cassidy was diagnosed with colon cancer, I believe stage 4. And just a couple of weeks ago, he passed away from colon cancer. He was a good friend and helped a lot with the campaigns of our previous city council member, Julia Marvin. Both of them were super instrumental in helping them with her campaign. And Leah and Cassidy have been in our community and other communities throughout the Denver metro area, helping with different initiatives in the Democratic Party. And I just bring them up because Cassidy was only 35 years old, got a screening, was sick with something, not feeling well, got screened and went to the doctor and found out even at that young of an age, he was so sick that he just passed away a couple weeks ago. And so his remembrance of life and celebration of life will be this Sunday at Coors Field because he loved baseball. But I wasn't super close, but I know that Councilmember Algie and probably Councilmember Russell might know this young couple, and it just brought to mind just how important it is to get screened because it can happen to anybody. So just be sure to, continue those screenings and continue to look at that, as you get older. So that's all I have to say.
Councilmember Algie,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ayala,
Yes.
Councilmember Byrd,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Councilmember Russell,
Yes.
Councilmember Salazar,
Yes.
Councilmember Acunto.
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously, Your Honor.
Thank you. Item 8 is audience participation. This is a time for members of the community to speak on any item that is not on the agenda as a public hearing or going to be on a public hearing in the future. Pursuant to City Council Rules of Order and Procedures, speaking time is limited to 3 minutes per person with a 1-hour limit on this segment of the agenda. In-person speakers will be heard first, followed by remote speakers registered before the end of the in-person comment segment. Residents of the city, as indicated on the sign-up sheet, will be given preference in the order heard in each segment. The podium located on the dais of the council chambers must be used to offer public comment during the audience participation or public hearing sections of the meeting agenda. In the event of physical inability or public hearing sections of the or preference, the public may offer comment by microphone while seated in the audience seating area. At no time should public comment be made while traversing the chambers. Ms. Long, is there anybody who signed up to speak under audience participation?
Yes, Your Honor. We have 9 individuals in person and 2 online.
Thank you. Can we hear the first speaker?
Ray Benson, 11693 Fillmore Place.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to have this opportunity. That's loud. My name is Ray Benson. I've been a resident of Thornton for almost 30 years. It's amazing the growth this city has seen, But now I'm really concerned because there's a lot of things, especially being on next door, you learn a lot of different things. But with all the growth going around the city, knowing that right now at this point in time, we are in the worst drought. They say the third, but actually it was the second worst drought we've had in 40 years. Has there been any type of replanning or restructuring how we can slow this construction going on? Because I know we're getting water from the Poudre River, and I spoke to the guy from the water department, and he stated that this has been in planning for 5 years, but I don't really think they planned for a drought for 40 years. So I know that the Poudre is down. There's actually, its level is 44%. And will Fort Collins actually release all the water that was promised to us? My main concern is we watch all the infrastructures around here in Thornton. And again, I lived down in the old Russell homes and moved my way all the way up to 120th and York. But I guess one of my main concerns is our roads aren't even prepared for this stuff. Our turn lanes are too short. There's still turn lanes back from, 1980s where they haven't extended them. Our traffic is getting horrendous. And now with the train going through here, it's even worse. I know that Governor Polis did pass a law stating that we need to build up the housing around train stations where it stops. Well, he doesn't live in our city because there's a lot of stops here in the stations. And it seems like every square foot of ground that's being looked at, housing developments from out of state are coming in here and moving in and bringing in different types of homes, houses, and affordability. My main concern is the growth of my city, because right now we're at the point where you guys are offering us reimbursements or funding for doing xeriscape for our yards. Now, if that happens, does that mean we're going to take away from the beautification of our yards just to bring in new residents? And if that's the case, are we being pushed aside to see the growth of Thornton, or are we trying to make some kind of effort to be the largest city in the Denver metropolitan area? I mean, this is a big issue across the whole state. We're getting snow in the mountains right now, but as I says, if you watch the news and watch how much water we don't have, I'm really concerned. I don't know how concerned you guys are, but I know that I've heard, I don't know by fact, that the housing development was stopped on 104th Avenue close to Washington because of the fact that the shortness of water. But now I know around the city there's going to be meetings about bringing in new developments, and we're talking large developments. Are we going to slow this down until we get back to the right amount of water that's going to be supplied for the city?
Thank you. Can we have the appropriate staff follow up with him? Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Can we get the next speaker, please?
Holland Zylstra, 5363 East 128th Circle.
Hi, I'm Holland Zylstra, and I've been living in Colorado and Thornton all my life. I'm here today to talk about human trafficking. Human trafficking is a $200 million problem in Colorado, and most victims in Thornton are from 12 to 19. These kids are my age, and typically these victims are in and out of foster care. These traffickers are making around $32K per week per kid. According to Colorado Human Trafficking Hotline, they receive about 100 calls and text messages monthly, with over 4,500 reports received since opening in 2018. My end goal is not a dollar amount. Human trafficking is wrong, and it's affecting kids in Thornton and all throughout Colorado, as well as across the nation. Kids my age and minors should not have to endure this. I want the city of Thornton to invest money and resources to stop human trafficking. This would be for the benefit of my generations and generations to come. Thank you for your time, and thank you for helping fight human trafficking in Thornton.
Thank you. Can I have the next speaker, please?
Brett Zylstra, 5363 East 128th Circle.
Hello, council members. Thank you for your time. I also am speaking in support of raising awareness on the human trafficking issue. According to the Common Sense Institute, Adams County has the largest share of this issue in Colorado, reporting a 20% 26% of all cases that have happened in human trafficking. So this is an ongoing issue that they haven't even kept documentation going back. I believe it was since before 2003. But since then, we know that this is an ongoing problem here. The Colorado Division of Criminal Justice reports there are 5 main ways that we can address this to help tackle this issue. And that's by training 5 different sectors. It starts with local law enforcement, students, probation and correction officers, mental health providers, and then local government staff. So I'm asking that Thornton City Council partner with nonprofits and non-governmental organizations to increase training and awareness and end human trafficking, both in Thornton and work towards into Adams County. Thank you.
Thank you. If the chief or an officer would like to follow up with you on things we might be doing now, that's also appropriate. Can I have the next speaker?
Tom Lampo, no address provided.
Hello to all. I'm Tom Lampo. I hope all are doing well. We're living in biblical times. The book of Esther, the Exodus found in the book of Exodus, and Mount Carmel found in 1 Kings 18. We could also speak of David. And you who promote your white hate won't like any of it, but we'll go over some of it anyway. The time we're living in is also a time of exposure. If we look at the book of Esther, it's a book of reversals. It's the history behind the celebration of Purim, which just celebrated at sunset March 2nd and ended nightfall March 3rd. The story takes place in Persia, which is modern-day Iran. A man named Haman rises up to the position of head prince. Through a series of events, he decides he wants to annihilate all the Jews in the kingdom. He casts Pur, a form of dice or lottery, to determine the date of the Jews' ultimate destruction. He underestimated God. Esther, the king's queen, was Jewish. She found favor with the king, and when it was revealed she was Jewish, the king turned against Haman, and Haman was executed along with his 10 sons. If we look at David in the Bible, we see he was trained up to be in the places he was. There were many attempts on his life, but God protected him, and he survived them all. David had many faults, but through it all, he was known as a man after God's own heart. In today's political picture, President Trump is the David of this time. No doubt, President Trump has many faults, as we all do. God is interested in our hearts. And today, God can use President Trump to accomplish his plans for America. So that brings us to Justin, who symbolically is Thornton's Haman. Haman wanted to destroy something of God. Justin would be overjoyed if President Trump were impeached, found guilty of whatever offense, and jailed. Not able to accomplish what God had planned for this nation. Justin uses his platform to spread fear and shed doubt on his motives. How we need to watch him and how what he does slowly creeps up on us, and a portion of our citizens will end up in concentration camps. It's a time of reversals. All the hate the president has taken will be removed from him, and I believe will be placed where it belongs. In my opinion, all roads lead to Obama. So time will tell what the legacies of President Trump and Obama will be. And through it all, God will receive all the glory for the transformation that will take place. All glory be to God. Enjoy the rest of your nights.
Thank you. Can we have the next speaker, please?
Sandra Wolf, Ward 1.
Well, here I am. I've survived 2 major events in Thornton, the 1981 tornado and the hurricane, the Huron fire, thanks to the first responders and Councilmen Salazar and Martinez. However, I'm still feeling a little bit unsafe. I still strongly believe that outdoor alerts should be included in our emergency alert system to be able to notify everybody, indoors and outdoors. I'm anxious to see how the Douglas County new high-low alert system is going to work out. I'm going to be monitoring them to look at their successes and usage. So now we have a newcomer in town. It's called Thornton Ready. So glad to see you, Thornton Ready, but I didn't know you were coming, and I would have liked to have a little bit more welcoming information. I have a little bit of feedback, believe it or not, and I have some questions. My question is, will we be doing bi-monthly or monthly testing to make sure that it's always working? Code Red was not one of my friends. Will we also explain better the personal medical data is not required when you sign up? When I first signed up and opened that app, I hit the rocket top. I said, I'm not going to tell you how much I weigh, anything about me. What is personalized will be on my refrigerator for the fire department to see when they come in to get me. But anyway, that was just me. I kind of calmed down a little bit when I found out that it was optional. Also, do we have a Thornton Citizens group, safety group? If we don't, I think I would like to participate. I'd like to volunteer to lead it. And I'd like to have some T-shirts that say Thornton Ready, Fire Department. The feedback I have is communicate, communicate, communicate. You can't communicate enough. And I don't think we did a good job communicating Thornton Ready. I think that the more you talk to people, the more they listen. And we're so overwhelmed with everything going on in our today world that you got to talk and talk and talk about it. So can we get better at communicating with our citizens, especially when we have 150,000 and not everybody hears the same message at the same time? Thank you for your time and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Can we have a staff answer some of the questions that Ms. Wolf had? Clerk, can you please call the next person?
Stephen Matthias, 2076 East 102nd Avenue.
All right, good evening, Council. We're going to do this ex-temp today, so we'll see how this goes. First of all, I would like to thank you for the Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. One of my bosses a long time ago, Alex King, died of colorectal cancer at 40. He was not even old enough to get screened. Luckily for me, I have been due to unrelated medical conditions that allowed me to get that screening early, and I do encourage everyone to do so. I'd also like to thank Sandra for everything that she just said. I agree with her completely when it comes to public safety. Our technology needs to be something we are careful about and something our citizens approve. In particular, I like that she raised the questions about privacy. We should be very cognizant about what we're putting into our systems, what they have access to, because any system we have, we should assume everyone in the world will at some point have access to. Data breaches are not a matter of if, they are a matter of when. On that note, I also wanted to address some of the comments in the past about the improvement in public safety technology over time. I agree, we have done some great things. Less lethal technology is a fantastic improvement. Safety's on guns, another great one. Yeah, we might be able to fire the gun a little faster without it, but we've all decided having that safety saves lives. It's a limit on that technology. Similarly, I agree that we do solve a lot of crimes with the use of DNA technology, fingerprint technology, biometric technology. But we also put limits on those. We don't say every single person at the time you were born will have your fingerprint put in the database. You do not get your DNA added in the database. We've decided as a society, the appropriate time to do that is when you have already been found guilty of some form of offense, when there is reasonable cause to believe that you might be a risk to the community. This is an appropriate balancing of safety and privacy. This is something I want to make sure that we consider as we look at our technology in Thornton. I'm not saying that there should be absolute technologies not looking at anyone, but we need to remember that stuff like ALPRs in particular are not opt-in systems. My consent is not needed, nor am I allowed to meaningfully waive it. Similarly, any of the technologies we've talked about so far, if you want to talk Axon, it's the same thing. I'm really interested to hear about that facial recognition on the body cameras. That was new to me. I would love to hear more. But I would like to consider alternatives that we have seen other places use that are more privacy aware while offering safety. There are people who put in air tags that you can get from the police departments. If you want your vehicle to be able to be tracked when it's stolen, that's an opt-in system. I'd encourage that we look at more things like that so that we can respect the personal values within our entire community. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk, can we please call the next person?
Michelle Swink, 672 Galaxy Circle.
Howdy, y'all. It's good to see you. Thank you for serving our community. I appreciate it. That's a sacrifice that I don't know that I would be able to make. I've been a resident of Thornton for 31 years, and my parents were 25 years before that. I want to thank the city of Thornton for the workaround in light of the recent fire. There was no emergency system to notify us of anything, and thankfully, the police department joined with you all to make sure that we were safe. Cherish contacted us as we are her immediate neighbors. I fondly refer to her as Telecherish, because if you want to find out something, she finds it out for us. Individual prayer and prayer chains were activated, and I believe God blew the wind that blew the fire away from our neighborhood. I hope that you'll all seize this opportunity. I guess I didn't know about it because that communication piece didn't know about Thornton Ready. So thank you for evidently initiating that. We look forward to hearing more about it. Thank you for taking that opportunity to make sure that, I'm sure the fire put a fire under you to make sure that got put in place. Forewarned is forearmed. Communication is essential. Scripture says to communicate and do good, forget not, for with such sacrifices God is well pleased. So please continue to communicate with us, improve it, tweak it, get it better, so that we're all on the same page. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Clerk, can you please call the next person?
Steve Cresson, 660 Leo Lane.
I live on Leo Lane. As you all know, there was a grass fire in the open space between Pinnacle High School and the homes like mine that back up to the Nether Creek open space. I had a front row seat. It was scary. I want to thank the Thornton Fire Department, Police Department, Westminster Fire Department. One of their trucks was in front of my house for 3 hours. And all the other jurisdictions that were there, including Adams County Sheriff, everyone. Without you folks, I don't know what would have happened out there. If the wind would have shifted, it would have been horrible. There were no emergency contingencies for alerting the neighborhood. I know Code Red didn't work out. I believe Denver had a similar issue and implemented another alert system in a timely manner. Why is Thornton dragging their feet? Myself and my neighbors could have lost our lives because of the city's inability to make a decision. Where were you? I know that emergency sirens have been discussed and have been ignored. Old technology cannot be hacked. To my knowledge, nobody in the city government knows much about how much the sirens would cost. The city of Castle Rock are in the process of implementing high-low systems. I'm sure Thornton has plenty of money. After all, Thornton paid $1.5 million for that god-awful piece of junk. Oh, I mean the art in the median in front of the city building. Maybe the city can spend some of their money to help protect the other system. Again, I can't thank the emergency responders enough for all their help. You folks are great. Not sure what we would do without you.
Thank you. Clerk, can you please call the next person?
Stacy Flint, Ward 2.
You guys all know that's par for the course for me. Before I begin tonight, I just need to clarify that I am speaking as a private Thornton resident. This has nothing to do with my role as a board member on Tashco. This is just Stacy Flint, Stacy me. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. I chose to speak tonight after reviewing the meeting packet and seeing reference to House Bill 26-1072 within Thornton's 2026 legislative agenda materials, because the policies surrounding extreme risk protection orders, often called red flag laws, and firearm safety directly affect families like mine. Survivors are often told to just leave, but leaving is statistically the most dangerous time. Between 50 and 75% of domestic and violence homicides occur during or after separation, when an abuser feels their control slipping away. This is also the period when the risk of familicide or family annihilation increases. When firearms are involved, the risk of homicide increases about 5 times. This is exactly the kind of situation that extreme risk protection orders were designed to address during periods of escalating danger and give families time to stay safe while the legal system catches up. In my own current experience with post-separation escalating domestic violence, our abuser is an avid weapons collector. I recently discovered he has been secretly buying and selling tens of thousands of dollars worth of weapons over several years without my knowledge. When he moved out, he and a friend carried multiple armloads of firearms out of our home, while during our 20-year marriage, I believe there were only 1 or 2 guns in the house. My teenage son expresses fear about the number of weapons involved, and my younger child experiences anxiety and night terrors before parenting exchanges and going to school. He has told his counselors that he fears his dad will shoot the glass doors at his school. No child should have to lie awake wondering whether the adults around him are safe from someone with access to that many weapons. I also want to be clear that I respect the sanctity of the Second Amendment. I myself own, carry, and train with my own firearm, but responsible gun ownership and temporary risk-based protections like ERPO can and must coexist. The Thornton City Attorney and an Adams County Court Magistrate both made findings of domestic violence in my situation. Yet in family court, the outcome came down to credibility, and the abuser's testimony was found to be more credible than the physical evidence I presented. This was the credibility of a man who maintained a 20-year fake identity, claiming to be a Marine and combat veteran, none of which were true. Colorado law recognizes many forms of domestic violence: coercive control, intimidation, financial abuse, and psychological abuse. But we've come to learn that most are not standalone criminal charges unless physical violence occurs, leaving survivors waiting for harm to escalate before intervention can happen. I face victim blaming, shaming, ridicule, and berated by law enforcement while simply trying to protect my family. You will hear tonight that domestic violence calls are among the most common calls Thornton police respond to. The issue is not theoretical. It's affecting your constituents and our neighbors in Thornton right now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Clerk, can you please call the next person?
Rose Wasmont, 8871 Neal Street.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. My name is Rose, and I'm a resident of Thornton. I'm here tonight to urge the discontinuation of the use of automatic license plate reader systems, especially those operated through the flock system, until their legality and constitutional compliance have been fully addressed. This isn't a partisan issue, but a constitutional one. The Fourth Amendment of the United States protects the people from unreasonable search and seizure. Later on in our history, United States versus Knotts in 1983, the Supreme Court clarified short-term tracking of vehicles on public roads, but the court later acknowledged limits to that reasoning in United States v. Jones. This case in 2012, the court held that prolonged GPS tracking implicates the Fourth Amendment because long-term monitoring reveals the whole of a person's movements. Then again, in Carpenter v. United States in 2018, the court clarified again that an aggregated digital location data system, whether it is housed by a third party or not, can reveal what is called privacies of life, which do require a warrant. Flock systems do not merely observe a car in passing. They aggregate, store, and allow searchable access to historical location data. Over time, that data reveals where people worship, where they meet, what doctors they visit, and what causes they support. That's not traditional policing, but mass surveillance. Many parties have long warned against centralized data collection and unchecked government power. Limiting government power is not anti-law enforcement, it's pro-constitution. The judicial branch exists to provide guardrails. When law enforcement acts within clear constitutional boundaries, evidence holds up in court. When surveillance practices stretch beyond those boundaries, Cases are lost on appeal, convictions are overturned, and victims are forced to relive their trauma through retrial, and sometimes violent criminals go free. Addressing these constitutional questions now protects officers, protects prosecution, and affirms the integrity of our judicial branch and its systems. At the state level, Article 2, Section 7 of the Colorado Constitution protects against unreasonable searches. Colorado has also enacted Colorado Privacy Acts, which recognize that personal data collection requires limits, transparency, and restraint. When this city contracts with Flock or any other company and provides law enforcement with access to searchable, trackable databases, that system is now an arm of the government and is subject to constitutional safeguards. Public safety matters. Law enforcement deserve effective tools, but these tools must be constitutional, targeted, and held accountable. The question is not whether or not we support police. The question is whether we support the Constitution and whether we're willing to ensure the evidence gathered in the city stands in the firm test that the courts provide for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk, can you please call the next person?
Dennis Vogel, Albion Court.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you, Council, for the time. I'm calling in tonight for simple reason. With the severe lack of precipitation this year and the impending drought conditions, I'd like the Council to consider placing a moratorium on the code enforcement for yard conditions this year. I would think that watering our lawns and mowing them down to dirt would probably be a bad idea for the general conditions that we're about to face. I'd much rather have people drinking the water rather than having green grass. So thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you. Clerk, can you please call the next person?
That was the last individual who signed up, Your Honor.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak but didn't sign up?
Nobody tells you how heavy these things are. Hi, my name is Amanda Pedrianis. I'm your International Miss Colorado, and I just wanted to say thank you to Council for acknowledging Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month tonight. I actually had something different planned, but I think you guys already made everyone cry tonight. So what I'll leave you with instead is my Uncle Ralph actually suffered from stage 4 colorectal cancer. He was a Ward 3 Thornton resident, and it ended up metastasizing. It spread to his lungs, his liver, and his bloodstream, and he would have like 4 different kinds of cancer at the same time. And the way that he fought for his life, he inspired me to fight for mine. I had never seen anybody in that weak of a state physically and still maintain mental stamina in a way that I'd never seen before, and I probably will never see again. And he's the reason why I became Miss Thornton. He's the reason for this title I'm wearing today. He's the reason I came back into politics. And let's just say I met a lot of resistance. But he's really pushed me through different challenges in life. And so what I would challenge anybody listening tonight is just to think about all of the people who have suffered from this disease. The statistics tell us that everybody in this room probably knows somebody who's been affected by it. And we owe it to them to fight for our lives, because the time to fight for your life is while you have it, not when you're losing it. And I'll leave you with that to ponder on tonight. Thank you again.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak who didn't sign up? All right, we'll move to council comments and communication. We'll start with Ward 4 tonight with Councilmember Morris.
Hey, good evening, everyone. First off, thanks so much for all the residents who showed up, gave public comment, and especially to the young lady who showed courage stepping up here in front of the council to talk about human trafficking and to try to raise awareness. Definitely looking forward to continuing that conversation and seeing where we can do, how we can support that. And if I'm correct, I believe Chief Baird, you're on State's Human Trafficking Council. I believe you're the chair. So we do have an active involvement in that and looking forward to continue to step up that activity. Busy time since our last meeting a few weeks ago. Of course, our major event in the city, the 84th and Here on Fire. So I just want to also echo what the city manager said. We want to thank our fire department and our police department for quick and effective action in responding to this event. But also, to the city manager's point, I want to thank our infrastructure team, our water team, traffic, the Carpenter Rec staff that was standing by to support with a longer evacuation time if they needed. And of course, our communications team for all that they did to support that event and the response to that event. Of course, thanks to the adjacent cities and regional agencies that stepped up quickly to assist. And also wanted to recognize and thank the teachers and the staff of Pinnacle High School. They did a lot of work helping with the evacuation of the school. They showed courage and they showed calm, and they took care of the students in a very stressful situation. So good job to them. A number of events that I attended since our last council meeting. I won't list them all, but I wanted to congratulate and thank a few groups. Well done to the Thornton Area Chamber for the State of the City event. Great job to the Adams County Regional Economic Partnership for the State of the Region event last week. Congrats to the 9 new Thornton police officers and 3 new Broomfield police officers who just graduated from class number 2 from our North Metro Police Academy. And if you didn't know this, the North Metro Police Academy is actually run by Thornton PD. It is a regional endeavor, but it is of our own making. Thank you to those who run this academy, who train this group, and who continue to produce great police officers for our city. Also, thank you to residents who showed up and joined Councilmember Byrd and I for our coffee meetup last Saturday. We held it at the Grove at Tous les Jours, which is a coffee and pastry spot. They had a great space prepared for us. We had great conversation, lots of good questions, and topics ranged from public safety, homelessness, and trash along the I-25, to the parks and open space sales tax, water planning, to gentleman's point earlier, and electricity infrastructure. Definitely looking forward to working with council and their staff to explore the questions that came up and find ways forward on these topics. All right, fiber install. Gotten a lot of activity with fiber install happening across our city right now. Multiple contractors involved, and I know I've heard, and multiple council members heard frustrations from residents with this and the installing, the repairs that have happened. But I do want to say thanks to the residents who have reached out to let us know about these issues that they've encountered with the install or the repairs they've seen on their properties. It is good to know what's happening on the ground so our staff can take action where possible. And of course, I also want to thank our staff and our infrastructure staff for the quick action and follow-up they've taken in response to these residents' concerns. Many issues are being addressed, making the residents feel heard and taken care of, so please keep it up. All right, I wanted to switch gears here in honor of Women's History Month and International Women's Day. I do have a photo if that's available. International Women's Day was just this past Sunday. I wanted to highlight a Thornton resident. So Kate Summers, pictured here, and a neat little space program jacket. And there's a picture of a shuttle taking off there. I'll explain that here shortly. Kate Summers has led a remarkable life dedicated to science, education, and service. Her work and family has taken her around the world and across multiple disciplines, but a common thread runs through it all: a deep curiosity about the natural world and a commitment to advancing knowledge. Earlier in her career, Kate worked in viral science laboratory where she helped develop vaccines, including work on vaccines for feline leukemia and equine encephalitis. She later moved to Guam, where she became a science teacher in local schools. There she shared her passion for science with young students, helping inspire the next generation of thinkers, problem solvers, and innovators. But Kate's journey didn't stop there. After moving to Alabama, she joined the Consortium for Materials Development in Space at the University of Alabama in Huntsville, working on biological experiments connected to NASA's Space Shuttle program. Then at the Kennedy Space Center, Kate helped prepare and manage experiments that studied how cells and biological systems behave in microgravity, research that helps scientists understand everything from human health in space to how life functions beyond Earth. These experiments were part of actually 3 space shuttle missions, which is super cool to me if anybody, other space nerds in the room. STS-52 in 1992, which carried important international scientific experiments into orbit. STS-56 in 1993, part of NASA's early atmospheric research missions. and STS-60 in 94, and actually went a very historic mission that included the first Russian cosmonaut flying aboard a U.S. space shuttle after the Cold War. Through this work with NASA, Kate helped advance scientific research that has contributed to what we know today about biology in space and the future of human spaceflight. And if that wasn't cool enough, she actually later contributed to another historic scientific milestone, the Human Genome Project. If you don't know about that, it's an international effort completed in the early 2000s, successfully mapped the entire human genetic code for the first time. Kate worked alongside researchers around the world to help analyze and identify genes on specific chromosomes in both humans and animals. And she presented research at conferences such as the Human Genome Conference and National Histology Conference. So after all that, she did continue to serve. She remains active here in Thornton, serving on the Adams 12 District Accountability Committee, the School Accountability Committee, and volunteering at Hunters Glen Elementary, continuing to support education in the next generation of students. She holds a bachelor's degree in cell biology, a master's degree in molecular biology, and a master's degree in secondary education, which is a reflection of both her dedication to science and her commitment to teaching others. So Kate, she's not here tonight, but I know she's listening. Thank you for the extraordinary contributions you have made to science, to education, and to the Thornton community. I'm proud to recognize you tonight. And if you'd like to hear more about her experiences with NASA, she's actually going to be giving a talk as part of a series hosted by the Active Adult Center at the Trailwinds Rec Center. This will be on Friday, 11 April from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. And again, thanks again to all who are here. Have a great night, a great week, and as always, reach out if you need anything. Thank you.
Councilmember Russell?
Thank you. Over the past few weeks, I've had the opportunity to attend several events and meetings that reflect on the many different ways our community continues to come together and make progress. Firstly, I attended the Thornton's first State of the City event, where we heard updates on the city's progress and priorities. It was also valuable to hear directly from our local school superintendents about the work happening within our schools and the challenges and opportunities they are seeing. These conversations help reinforce the importance of collaboration between the city and our education partners as we plan for the future. I also attended a fundraiser for the nonprofit Wish for Wheels, an organization that helps purchase and build bicycles for second graders. At a time when so much of the conversation is focused on the serious issues like housing and food security, it was refreshing to support a cause that simply brings joy to kids. Providing children with a bike is a simple gesture, but one that creates lasting memories without placing the weight of the adult challenges on their shoulders. In addition, I participated in a National Veteran Advocacy Committee meeting where we discussed our approach in advocacy and lobbying around Saving Our Veterans Lives Act. The focus of this effort is strengthening suicide prevention resources and support systems for veterans, an issue that continues to demand our attention and action. Finally, I attended the Thornton annual Weld County Commissioners meeting. During this meeting, we shared updates on the properties the city of Thornton owns within Weld County and discussed the progress being made on the Thornton water pipeline. These conversations are important to maintaining strong regional partnerships and ensuring continued collaboration as these major infrastructure projects move forward. I appreciate the opportunity to represent our community in these settings and stay engaged with the organizations and partners working to improve the lives of our residents. And while that was my prepared statement, I'd like to just take a minute and just address some things that individuals are talking about. It can be sensed that it's a concerning time in America. We're at the beginning of a new war. There's friends, there's family members that have concern for service members. 7 service members have already lost their lives, and respectfully, we honor those and thank them for their service. They paid the ultimate sacrifice. Additionally, over the last year or so, there's many residents, and some in this room probably, that have had some financial struggles as well. Food, housing, as mentioned in my previous comments, it hasn't been the cheapest of times for people, but we face a new difficulty and with this recent war, and we're seeing fuel prices rise, and that's also going to create some strain on families and residents within Thornton and across the country. I just want to take a moment to be positive and be encouraging and remind people of their resiliency, because this isn't the first time that our country has had difficult times. And there's a phrase that always has stuck in my head. I learned it early on, but tough times don't last, tough people do. So while a lot of the media and the headlines may harp and bring our attention to the negative things that are going on in the world, count your blessings, be positive, understand that these times won't last forever. And that mentality is what will help you through whatever difficulties you may incur over, who knows, the next few weeks, the next few years. But be resilient. It's within all of us, and I think it's a wonderful characteristic that sometimes doesn't get talked about enough. So thank you.
Councilmember Acunto?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Just a very timely, I'd like to thank the young lady talking about human trafficking. It's very important to me. So just like to take a minute to talk about one of the largest organizations that helps track down human traffickers in the United States. So Homeland Security Investigations, also known as HSI, which is the investigative arm of the U.S. Customs Enforcement under the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, plays an important role in identifying, investigating, and dismantling human traffic networks, including those exploiting children for sex. HSI has broad federal authority that allows it to investigate crimes that cross international borders, involve organized crime, or use digital platforms and financial systems. One of HSI's main strengths is its ability to combine immigration authority, financial investigations, cybercrime expertise, and international partnerships. Human trafficking networks frequently operate across state lines and national borders. Because of this, local investigations are often expanded into federal cases when evidence shows interstate commerce, online exploitation, international movement of victims, or organized trafficking structures. As someone who works in law enforcement and regularly deals with crimes involving exploitation of children, I want to briefly address the issue of human trafficking and child sexual exploitation. When people hear the term human trafficking, they often imagine something that only occurs internationally or in major metropolitan areas. The reality is this exploitation of children occurs in communities across the country, including communities like ours. Much of this activity now takes place online. Social media platforms, messaging applications, and online payment systems are commonly used to recruit, groom, and exploit vulnerable minors. Because of that, these investigations often involve multiple jurisdictions and complex digital evidence. While local police departments are frequently the first to encounter these, there are several federal partners who play an important role in identifying victims and dismantling trafficking networks. One of the primary agencies involved is Homeland Security Investigations, which operates under the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. HSI agents specialize in complex investigations. They work closely with local law enforcement, prosecutors, and victim service organizations to identify traffic networks, locate victims, and build cases against individuals responsible for exploiting children. Another key resource is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which operates the cyber tip line. There are a few statistics that help put this into perspective. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, also known as NCMEC, receives more than 36 million reports of suspected online child exploitation every year through its cyber tip line. The FBI receives hundreds of thousands of missing children entries annually through the National Crime Database, and the federal investigators with Homeland Security Investigations open well over 1,000 human trafficking investigations every year in the United States. These cases in communities across the country and the internet has made it easier for offenders to target vulnerable children anywhere. While federal agencies such as HSI and NCMEC play a major role in identifying victims and investigating offenders, the first line of defense is local awareness, local partnerships, and local law enforcement. Protecting children is not a political issue. It's a public safety and community responsibility. And for this reason, I will always support the Department of Homeland Security, HSI, ICE. They are the largest organization that goes after human trafficking in the United States. And it's a shame what is being taken on these agents and officers. Their help and assistance in these investigations for people who exploit children are invaluable. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Councilmember Byrd?
I would also like to thank Holland and Brett for their comments earlier. I've known Brett for about 8 years, so I've seen Holland kind of grow up. So it was very inspiring seeing her be able to get up and make a public comment to everybody. I'm going to address most of my comments tonight regarding flock and some of my thoughts around that. I'd like to start by thanking all of the citizens that have come forward in either support or opposition of flock. Mr. Butler came forward at our last meeting. I took your advice to heart, and I wanted to give my thoughts back as you had asked me afterwards. So the first thing to mention is that raising concerns regarding cybersecurity risk in government technology is not anti-law enforcement, nor is it anti-public safety. It is pro-accountability, and that framing matters. But I want to be very clear on my position. I'm supportive of the use of flock cameras provided they are deployed and governed in a manner that meets the standards that any other tools are controlled with sensitive data being input into them are controlled. Cybersecurity risks do not automatically equal operational failure. I think that is a very critical thing that's being overlooked throughout most of the conversations that are here. The findings in GAINSEC's white paper do provide valid concerns around device hardening, secure booting, etc. However, the existence of vulnerabilities do not automatically invalidate the use of a system. If this was true, most of us sitting in this chamber would likely not have a phone on them or a computer on them at this time. Examples include things like Checkmate, which was used to jailbreak phones by modify them in their ROMs. Pac-Man, which attacks pointer authentication codes on Apple Silicon. Rowhammer, which exploits DRAM memory. All of these things are unpatchable vulnerabilities that can't be fixed. Some vulnerabilities are utilized in tools essential to police investigations. Tools that are used like Graykey or Celebrite, which are tools that are used to unlock phones that have been locked by criminals that refuse to give up passwords. These vulnerabilities are used in this case to be able to help solve crimes and move things forward. These things are critical in everyday investigations. It would be irresponsible to disregard the benefits that have already been shown in our own city regarding flock cameras as well. In my field, there is a known goal. That goal is not perfect security because that doesn't exist. It's managed risk. We can control strong security practices while also equipping our officers with the tools they need to work effectively. So I know that I kind of went on a rant here with this, but I believe that we can have a balance between the two. And having that balance is going to be the critical area of what we need going forward. Thank you.
Councilmember Algie?
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. So good evening, everybody. I want to thank everyone that spoke this evening. And once again, public comment is the very foundation of our democracy, and I always fight in this chair to ensure that we continue public comment for all of our neighbors. So it's been a busy 2 weeks for us, for me, I should say. I want to express my gratitude to Thornton Fire, Thornton PD, and all of our neighboring first responders for their quick response to the Huron Fire 2 weeks ago. Their collaborative efforts, along with the staff at Pinnacle Charter School, helped prevent a major tragedy in our city. I also thank staff for the updates that we as council received, and Madam City Manager, thank you for the update this evening as well. I attended our first State of the City address in collaboration with the Thornton Area Chamber of Commerce, held at the Hilton Garden Inn, Thornton. So once again, I want to thank the Thornton Chamber for their efforts along with their economic development team. So Congressman Gabe Evans, our congressman here in the 8th Congressional District, gave updates about what is happening in D.C. Mayor Coleman gave the State of the City speech, and she moderated 2 panels. The first was discussing the Huron Fire and economic development projects with our city manager, Tansy Hayward, economic development director, Adam Kruger, and our 2 amazing chiefs, Stephen Kelly and Jim Baird, fire and police respectively. The second panel was discussing the state of our schools with the superintendents of AMS 12, Mapleton, and 27J. I also spoke to Congressman Evans concerning the status of constructing a new post office to replace the one at the former Thornton Shopping Center, and neighbors in South Thornton asking when it will get built. Congressman Evans was receptive to it. On that note, my ask of neighbors will be to contact his office if you have any questions concerning this topic. His phone numbers are in DC, area code 202-225-5625, or his North Glen office at area code 303-723-6560. And the address of his office is 10701 Melody Drive, Suite 500. I do want to emphasize that our economic development team has done a great job on our end, and they are waiting for feedback from the USPS. In addition to Mayor Coleman, I was joined at the State of the City. I was joined by Council Members Martinez, Byrd, Russell, and Morris. Along with Councilmember Salazar, I attended a Precious Child's open house, which was this very same evening. A Precious Child is one of my favorite nonprofits in the Denver metro area. They provide clothing and food to neighbors in need. Families must be referred by an agency partner and meet income or emergency needs criteria. We both met with their senior leadership team. Let's see. So last week, along with Councilmember Byrd, Morris, and Martinez, I attended the graduation ceremony of Thornton PD's 9 new police officers, as well as Broomfield PD's 3 new police officers, as part of Class 2 of the North Metro Police Academy, and it was held at the Thornton Active Adult Center. Both Mayor Coleman and Chief Baird spoke and offered congratulations and welcome to our graduates. I also attended the Adams County Regional Economic Partnership Annual State of the Region breakfast last Friday, and Mayor Coleman was one of the panelists there as well. And I was also joined by members of the Thornton Economic Development Team, along with Council Members Martinez and Morris. And yesterday, along with Councilmember Russell, I attended the City of Thornton's annual meeting with the Weld County Board of Commissioners. Chris did virtually. I was there in person. It was great to meet the 4 Weld County commissioners that were there. It was a very brief meeting, but once again, we were talking about the properties that we own in Weld County and also the update on the Thornton Water Project and the progress that we are making there. And we also addressed some concerns that the board had, and I want to thank our staff for coming prepared for those questions. So once again, we have a great staff. I can't say enough about you guys. You're amazing. So also, I have been and I am planning to meet with Ward 2 neighbors about their concerns on flock. I had 2 meetings this week with neighbors. I do want to say there will be the Thornton for All group. They will be having their second community meeting tomorrow at 6 p.m. at the Thornton Community Center. I will be late for the event, but I do plan on attending and staying to the end to answer any questions that neighbors may have and if they want to meet up with me. So I want to thank that group for their efforts to educate all of us. In addition to that, though, I will also be meeting one-on-one with Chief Baird in the near future, and now concerning flock and other public safety issues. So I want to gather input from all parties on this issue, and it is a topic we're not in any rush to make a decision on it up here. We want to hear from neighbors whether you are for or against flock. That is a very important conversation for our city to have, as other municipalities are having in our nation. And I also want to congratulate and welcome our newest Assistant City Manager, Jessica Prosser, to our team. I got to meet you here before we started the meeting. Thank you for your work with the City of Aurora, and I am excited to work with you. Also, my thanks also goes to Tansy, Rob, and all of the staff for the orientation sessions that Councilmember Byrd, Councilmember Morris, and myself have gone through over the last 3 months. It has been very informative and very productive, and of course, you guys are always there for us if we need you for anything. So once again, great job with all of the orientation sessions. And lastly, Mayor Pro Tem Ayala and I are hosting a Ward 2 meetup on Sunday, March 29th at 9 a.m. We're deciding whether to have it at the Thornton Community Center or at Grumpy Cafe. We do have the community center reserved. We will be updating neighbors very soon where the final venue will be, and we look forward to hearing from neighbors and having the conversations we need to have in our community. We will be heading to DC this weekend for the annual National League of Cities Congressional Conference, so there will be no meeting next week. And then lastly, I am modeling. Get off here. All right. So modeling Food for Hope. So I do have 2 minutes left. All right, good deal. So I did my first volunteership with them since I was sworn in to council. And it was great catching up with the Food for Hope staff. They have some new freezers and refrigerators now. at their main location, which is near Satire Brewing. So once again, I thank Emily Stromquist and the team. And on that note, their annual fundraiser, which is, I think, Rooted in Hope, it's going to be at Bradburn Conference Center in Westminster on Thursday, April 16th. I will be attending. So they're a great organization. They're Thornton-based. I can't say enough about how the great work they continue to do to fight our hunger for our kiddos. And that's all I have. Have a good night.
Councilmember Salazar.
Thank you, Sandra, Stephen Crescent, Michelle, Rose, and the people of Thornton. This past week, on Wednesday, February 25th, a fire broke out in our neighborhood. Well, we were all profoundly grateful that no homes were lost and no neighbors were displaced. We cannot let a fortunate outcome blind us to a dangerous failure in our public safety communication. I spent the last several days walking the streets of the affected area. I heard the same story over and over. Why didn't my phone go off? Why didn't I get an alert? Residents were watching smoke rise from their front porches, relying on the bravery of neighbors knocking on doors to know if they were in danger. In 2026, neighbor to neighbor is a wonderful sentiment, but it is not a professional public safety strategy. We need to be transparent about why the silence happened. Our previous emergency alert system was compromised. I support the decision to take a compromised system offline to protect our city's data and network security. However, when we took that system down, we created a massive gap in services. For a period of time, we essentially took the batteries out of the city's smoke detector and didn't immediately provide a backup. That gap, that period of silence, is where our residents felt abandoned. It doesn't matter how good our intentions were, the result was a community left in the dark during a live threat. The city has moved forward with the new system called RAVE. This is a step in the right direction, and it is the robust, secure tool our city needs. But as this fire proved, a new system is only effective if the transition is seamless and the community is fully on board. The gap of experience has caused a significant loss of public trust. Our residents don't just need a new system, they need to feel safe again. They need to know that the RAVE system is fully operational, tested, and the silence we experienced that week will never happen again. I am formally requesting that the city manager and the Office of Emergency Management provide a public report on the following: a status update on the full implementation of the RAVE system, a comprehensive public outreach plan to ensure that every resident in Thornton is registered and understands how they will be notified moving forward, and an explanation of what backup protocols are in place should we ever face another system outrage. We owe our residents more than just a new piece of software. We owe them the peace of mind that comes with knowing their city will reach them the moment danger arrives. Public safety is the most fundamental promise we make from this dais. We must ensure that our technology is as reliable as the firefighters who responded to the scene and did an amazing job. Let's make sure this near miss is a catalyst for a safer, more connected Thornton. Thank you.
The city is currently advertising for Building Code Advisory Board in Ward 1 and Election Commission in Ward 2. The deadline for these is March 23rd at 5 p.m. Also, the Thornton Active Adult Board is looking for folks for Ward 2 and 3. The deadline for that, if you'd like to apply, is April 9th at 5 p.m. I would just like to say, first of all, welcome to Jessica. I personally am really excited to have somebody who can support our city. Coming from a large city like Aurora, I know there's tremendous challenges in Aurora, and with our growth, we're getting to be a really big city. We're looking to operate in that way, and so it's really exciting to have somebody who can come and bring the strategy to Thornton to grow in the best way possible. So welcome to our city. Secondly, I just want to give a thank you to our fire department for handling the fire a few weeks ago. It was I think the response just from the city staff, the fire department, the police department, and specifically I'd like to thank our Parks and Rec department. I think that we don't often think about the invisible kind of workers that do some of the work that keep our city safe. And one of the things that I learned was that we really had a miss too, because our Parks and Rec workers really have done a good job of keeping those grasses lower than they probably could have been, and that could have been a much bigger disaster. So when we're looking at things like this that happen, and we think about just how much of a miss we had, and we're grateful for the workers in our Parks and Rec department, I think sometimes our infrastructure department and our Parks and Rec department go unnoticed with some of the work they do. And so I just wanted to give out a special thanks to them. I mentioned quite a few times, I used to be a union organizer, and one of the unions I represented was AFSCME Council 76 here in Colorado. And that's how I got engaged in the conversation around what municipal workers do, because we represented county, municipal workers, and just basically governmental workers in general. And so I got the opportunity to talk to a lot of folks in Parks and Rec, whether it be working on landscape or working in our recreation departments in the city and county of Denver, the library system. And kind of the slogan of the union is "We make America happen," or "We make Thornton happen." And so I think about that, right? Like, we have a lot of workers that do a lot of things that go unnoticed. And I just like to make sure that we recognize that work, because when this happened, the city manager's office was calling meetings all day long to keep council engaged in what was happening and keeping us well informed. And so I really appreciate that as well, because I work as a teacher during the day, and I had to step away from the classroom to get updates because folks were texting me and worried, and usually the day goes by pretty seamlessly, but being an educator, I can't always step away. But luckily it was on a Wednesday, which is our half day, so that was a good thing. But looking at the whole situation and seeing how it was orchestrated with all the workers in the city and our city manager's office, I'm just super grateful for the work that everybody did to keep folks safe and make this a situation that did not end in huge tragedy. So we're grateful for that. I'm grateful for that. I also want to thank Amanda Pedrianis for coming and giving us the little blue ribbons. That was very thoughtful. And I wanted to just thank her for speaking about the colorectal cancer resolution that we had this evening. She brought that up. I usually keep kind of like a calendar of different things that we want to recognize on a month-by-month basis. I kind of wanted to start doing that as a council member to make sure that we recognize these things. But it's always cool to have like a resident from the community say, hey, like, this is something I want to recognize because a resident here has had that situation and I'd like to recognize it. So thank you for bringing that forward. And I just want to thank all the speakers who came tonight. It's important that we hear from the community and hear what's on your mind. A lot of these things sometimes don't come across our mind, but hearing about sex trafficking, being that I work with teenagers who are at risk for manipulative things online, the Roblox, I hear about that like all day long, and have become more aware of how dangerous that video game could be. And they've put some parameters around that, but that's something to watch, is like whether your kids are playing video games or on Snapchat. There's just so many things predatory with young people these days. So just keep an eye on your kids and make sure that you're communicating with them, because there are people looking to exploit children on a daily basis. And then also with the flock conversation, I'm just excited to hear more updates from our city staff and work with our community to come to a resolution that's going to be keeping in mind the public safety of Thornton, and then also keeping in mind the protection of our information. So with that, I'd like to move on to item 10, which is quasi-judicial public hearings. There are none of those tonight, and we'll move on to number 11, which is legislative public hearings, and we don't have any of those tonight either. We'll move on to number 12, which is staff reports. Item 12A is a Parks and Open Space Advisory Commission 2025-2026 annual report, and I'll call Brian Spec. I'm sorry, I'm probably messing up your name. Parks and Open Space Advisory Commission chairperson will present this item.
Thank you. Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to come back and speak to you all once again on behalf of POSAC. I'm Brian Osepik. No worries, it's not the easiest name to pronounce. Not exactly Smith. I'm the current chair of POSAC. I've been a member of POSAC for about 10 years now and chair for the past 7. And on behalf of the commissioners, just want to say thanks for the opportunity to come back every year and give you an update on where we've been and where we're headed in 2026. We just have a short PowerPoint presentation for you. I'm going to let you handle the clicking. Just as a reminder, this is the mission statement for POSAC. Our primary focus and function is to advise and make recommendations to City Council on developing and updating the Parks and Open Space Master Plan and on projects to be funded from the proceeds of our 0.25% Parks and Open Space sales and use tax. And those are 2 specific examples, but I also just like to describe POSAC in general as we see ourselves as kind of the liaison between the residents of Thornton and city and council for any issues related to our parks and open spaces. We like to relay comments that we hear from the residents, concerns, great ideas for new parks and open space, and suggestions on how we can improve what we already have. So that's kind of the more informal role that we play. Just as a reminder, POSAC is a 9-member, all-volunteer board. I represent Ward 4, and I'm happy to report as of today we have achieved complete ward equity, which I know is a big priority for the city and for council. We have 2 members from each of the 4 wards, and we also have an at-large member. So we're proud that we're able to represent everybody from all 4 corners of the city. Just a few of our 25 accomplishments, and I won't go through all of them, but I do want to highlight a few. We did bring on 2 new members to POSAC this year, and I just want to take this opportunity to thank City and Council for giving us the opportunity to interview folks whenever we have vacancies on POSAC. We really appreciate the chance to talk to these folks, and over the 10 years I've been on POSAC, I'm just continuously impressed by the quality of the people that we get to apply for POSAC, and I think it speaks pretty highly of our reputation as a strong board to serve on. So just a shout out for that opportunity that we get for interviews. A big accomplishment that's still ongoing, so this shows up both for 25 and for 26, is our participation in the new master plan for parks, recreation, and community programs. We've been involved in several reviews of the current draft for the new plan. And we discuss it at a lot of our meetings, and we're very appreciative of the opportunity again to review the drafts and to give comments. I think a lot of our commission members have a lot of good comments on the current plan. Just to highlight a few examples from the most recent draft that we saw at our last meeting, there's a big priority for habitat preservation, which I think is fantastic, and I think sometimes it's a topic that gets a little bit lost whenever we're talking about parks and open space. Obviously, most people are interested in having parks and open space places where they can do different types of activities, but I think it's good that we don't lose sight of the ability to also use these properties as places to preserve wildlife habitat. So I'm glad to see that that was a priority in the current plan. Another priority, trail connectivity. This is something we hear about all the time from the residents of Thornton. Everybody's always interested in knowing how we can improve our current trail system, especially where there's gaps between trails. Folks are always giving us great ideas for where they are on their favorite trail and why all of a sudden sometimes it suddenly stops and then they have to pick it up somewhere else. So we're happy to see trail connectivity remain a priority for the current plan. And then lastly, we're glad to see that the plan includes a lot of feedback that we got on recent surveys from the citizens, especially folks that chimed in with feedback on what types of amenities they like to see at our parks and open spaces, and also what types of activities that we can provide at our parks and open spaces. And I'm glad to see that the current draft of the plan kind of focuses on some of the survey results to make sure that we're trying as hard as we can to give everybody what they're asking for as reasonably as we can. And I also just would chime in on one of the accomplishments that we have is attending city-sponsored events. And I also wanted to just say thanks for the invitation to go to the State of the City presentation a few weeks ago. Thanks to the city and the Chamber of Commerce. Always appreciate an opportunity to represent POSAC at these events. As far as planned activities for 2026, one of the things that we always do is review and make recommendations on current CIP capital plan projects. Bob always brings us a list of current projects to our meetings, and we're always appreciative to hear updates on how these projects are going. For an example, one that's been on our plate for a while now is the Ayler Open Space on 136, just north of the new King Supers. It's a project that we've been following pretty closely as a board, and we're really glad to see the progress that's been made and look forward to having that opened up and available to everybody in Thornton. I think it's going to be a fantastic space. Another planned activity for 2026 will be prioritizing a list of property acquisitions. This is a topic that POSAC historically hasn't always been involved with, but over the last couple of years, with the help from Bob and city staff, especially Scott, the former city real estate manager, started to attend some of our meetings and give us an insight on some potential properties that could maybe be acquired by the city and potentially turned into a new park or open space. And POSAC is very willing and appreciative to weigh in on some of these properties. We've even taken some steps to go out and visit some of the properties. I think we can probably have some good ideas as a board on how we could use some of these properties as potential future parks and open spaces and what kind of uses they could be used for. So we appreciate the opportunity to kind of be a little bit more involved in some potential new property acquisitions. And finally, another planned activity that we do every year is really fun for us as a board. We have 3 van tours a year, spring, summer, and fall, where we go out and as a board visit a handful of parks and open spaces. One, it gives us just a chance to get out of a board meeting in a room or in a conference room. And 2, it gives us a chance to get to some parks that maybe we haven't been to in a while. We try and visit parks that have had maybe some new improvements installed, or if they're brand new parks that have just been open and maybe some POSAC folks haven't had a chance to get to. So we really enjoy that opportunity to get out and just visit the spaces and the parks that we're trying to protect and support. And also would always like to open up the opportunity for anybody in city council, if you'd ever like to hop in a van with us and cruise around and check out some of the parks, we'd be more than happy to have you join us. Usually we do it on Saturday mornings and just for a couple hours, and we don't obviously go to every park in the system, but like I said, we try and highlight a few here and there. Yeah, I'll just conclude. We're excited to see an increased participation.
Sorry,
Oh.
we're all over the board here.
Oh, you're good.
Now we're back in. Here, I'll set that down.
We're excited to see an increased participation and engagement in the CIP planning process, project development, master planning activities, and creating new and innovative solutions for our parks and open spaces. And with that, I'll also throw an invitation out, like I always do every year, to council. If you'd ever like to attend any of our meetings, we meet once every other month, usually the third Monday of the month, and we try and rotate the meetings between all parts of the city. So they're either at Trailwinds, Carpenter, or down at the community center down south. You're always welcome to attend, and we'd be happy to have you there and hear about all the great things that we're doing with parks and open space. And I believe that's it. Questions, feedback?
Councilmember Algie?
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you, Brian, for the presentation. Absolutely amazing. And you guys do great work. I'm a big fan of Parks and Rec, obviously. You know, kind of when I was on Tashco with the Mayor Pro Tem, you know, obviously we interacted with y'all, and love you guys a lot. I do have a question for Bob, though, and that is, I talked to one of my neighbors in Cherry Lane this afternoon before council, and Brandon Place Park's looking great. Thank you, Mayor Coleman, for shouting out the state of the city, by the way. I know the timeline was like this month that they would be completed. It seems like we're winding down. Can you give us an update on Brandon Place Park specifically?
Yeah, we're really waiting for the growing season to come in. We've got some large trees to plant and then some sodding to do, and then that's wrapped up. So, you know, Councilmember Algie is probably 45 days or so, weather dependent.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you again, as always.
Yep.
Are there any other questions from council? All right. Well, thank you for your service. I know being on a board can be a lot of work, and so thank you for all the things you do for our city and for our Parks and Rec department.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
The next item is 12B, Local Licensing Authority Annual Report. Justin Baumgartner, Local Licensing Authority Chairperson, will present this item.
Good evening. I'm hoping this works. Yes. Okay, fantastic. My name is Justin Baumgartner. I'm the chairperson for the LLA. We are very excited to be here yet again for another year. Believe it or not, it is year 40 for the LLA. So it is a fantastic movement. We provide reference to various local licensing for alcohol, transfers, changes in corporate structures. We haven't had a denial of a renewal. There have been a few where we do some reviews, and the initial on-paper documentation brings up questions, but really when you get to know the individuals that come into play, have conversations, and really show the feelings and the thoughts of how they want to benefit the city of Thornton, we haven't had any of those issues thus far. 40 years. I think about that because we actually, and I'll talk about it here in a minute, we had an individual that came in for a new license for GQ Barbecue. If you haven't been there, you should stop by. And he came in and he said, I think there might be a conflict for you to vote on the application, Chairperson Baumgartner. I said, well, why is that? He said, I graduated high school with you. And I was like, well, that was 22, quite a while ago. So I have no issues. I think it's going to be a great deal here. And it was from Horizon High School. And this individual who is a leader in that company said, you know what, the reason why I chose Thornton is because I drove by that every single day. And I thought to myself, how can I reinvest the money that we have created in our organization back into the city? This is the location, this is what we want to do. So I hear those stories, and then I hear what they're trying to accomplish. And it really brings passion back to, the reason why we're doing what we're doing. And the members that are listed here, they come each and every meeting because they want to be a part of that. They want to make sure that when approving these licenses or transfers, that it's going to be a communal space that's going to be enjoyable for the members in the community of the city of Thornton and those that are visiting the city of Thornton, that it is safe to do so, that is not harming our youth, that is not going to be creating potential issues for fights and violations and things that are going to add more stressors to our police department. But they can come here, they can spend their money, they want to be a part of our community, and that is really why I applaud every single one of these members that want to come and volunteer for us every single month. Third Wednesday, 6 p.m., held here in the chambers. I saw you clicking the button when one of the other members was asking to speak. The first time that I had a member of our community do that, or a committee do that, I forgot to notice it because we usually just raise our hand and we have conversations. I can see the technological issues there. The other new applications that happened in 2025, we had 7 of them. I mentioned GQ Barbecue because that one kind of was near and dear. Billy Birch was an expansion of several businesses in the city of Denver. They wanted to bring their business to the city of Thornton. They're doing pretty well. Chicken and Pickle was a great investment into the city. Again, it's one of those things where you're bringing value and you're bringing people, and it is an icon now and a staple. Malibu Jack's, absolutely phenomenal. If you haven't stopped by there, I met with the owner the day after he had his license approved. I went down to Malibu Jack's and said, you know what, you did an amazing job because you showed passion and you wanted to bring this new thing to this city and you wanted to bring entertainment for these children. And if you want to ride the go-karts, do so before you get an alcoholic beverage. They will ban you. You cannot drive after that. So just be aware. We've had a few transfers of ownership over the time. We've had 8 of those. I can read to you, but I know that you have more important things to do. A lot of them were gas stations and a few businesses like Outlaw Wings, who has had a few transfers thus far. Miscellaneous approvals. Satire Brewing was an expansion. And again, this is an expansion of a business to bring in more fermentation tanks to expand their actual business. It's not just for the sale of alcohol, but for the production, and they're doing quite well. Walmarts are having expansion in their locations. One of the locations that actually requested a premise approval was for a downgraded section in a King Soopers. First that we've had of that, but they said that we want to consistently be a good partner and a good steward of our licenses within the city of Thornton. And if it's not significant sales in this area, it's okay for us to reduce this print as well. So they have done pretty well. Joint stipulations was the first time that we've seen this year in several years post-COVID. The police department went out and they were able to do checks, spot checks, to see whether or not they would serve to minors. Significant approvals, meaning that they had not served to minors throughout a lot of liquor licenses within the city. However, there were 4 that had violations, and with that came stipulations. I have those listed if you want to have a discussion about that afterwards, but those have went through and have been completed up to this point. We have our trainings every single meeting. We want to make sure that we're up to date on the current content, laws, and legal aspects of alcohol sales, licensures within the city, within the state. The fines in lieu of suspension of sales, that was one of the things that were involved with the joint stipulations. The different types of liquor licenses continues to change, and whether or not they can be expanded into grocery stores is turbulent depending on what the state's doing that year. I want to bring up Q Rico real quick because this was last month's approval. This is the depth of knowledge and conversation that we continuously have with our legal team. It's, what can we do? What can't we do? How do we show that there's going to be value to our community? What historically have we done in the city? And that is a location in the food court in the mall on the north side of the city. It had previously had a liquor license in that area, not for Q Rico, but we had to have a conversation of whether or not we can maintain the area to which liquor would be sold and transferred in that space. How do you make sure that it's only within the food court? How do you make sure that it is not going out into the various retailers, feeding out into the north side of the park for the Denver outlets there? And by the end, we had those discussions, we had proper guidance, and I want to do a really quick shout out to our entire city staff, Mr. Jeffrey, Ms. Sergeant, Ms. Fliss, and Detective Moore. So if the police chief is listening, please thank him for everything he does. He's absolutely amazing. They provide significant guidance for us to be successful within our groups here. few transfer of ownerships, and that's where we're at as of today. I did have a note to thank the council here for providing us continuously with monthly training opportunities and for having sustenance available for any meeting that goes beyond an hour. It is highly appreciated, and we really do thank you for approving that in the budget. Do we have any questions?
Are there any questions from council? Thank you so much for the presentation. I'm glad that we have community members doing this. It's great that we've been able to keep that going, and it's awesome to have like a neighbor that's on the board and you can chat about these types of issues. So thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Item 12C is the monthly financial report for 2025, the preliminary year-end financial results, and that's being presented by Kim Newhart, Finance Director, and Erica Senna, Budget and Operations Director. They'll present this item.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, Kim Newhart, Finance Director, and again, I'm presenting with Erica Senna, your Budget and Operations Director. The purpose of tonight's presentation is to give you an update on preliminary financial results. There's a packet included in your council packet on February 24th. See if I can make this work. Oh, there we go. Tonight we'll walk through revenue and expenditure performance, and we'll conclude with some key takeaways and next steps. So this first slide shows revenue performance across all of our funds. So starting on the left, the rows are numbered for reference. Then the columns left to right reflect the fund or group of funds, our total 2025 revenues, our total original 2025 budget, and the dollar and percentage variance compared to that budget. You can see that both the general government and the water fund are bolded. There's additional slides, and we'll go into more detail on those two. So row one, the general government, this includes general fund and government capital fund. Revenues finished 5% or $11 million over the original budget, and I'll walk through that in more detail when we get to that slide. Special revenue funds finished 4% or $883,000 over budget. This variance is largely related to timing. There was an IGA and some grant revenues that were projected in 2024 but didn't come in until 2025. The water fund, row 3, ended 32% over original budget, and I'll talk through that in some more detail as well on the next slide. The sewer fund finished 1% under budget, and this was a combination of higher than projected connection fees offset by lower than anticipated industrial sewer charges. Part of our ongoing work with the development community, the city changed the timing of connection fee payments, and so we're allowing developers to pay at the beginning at permit issuance rather than at the end with certificate of occupancy. And what this does for them is it provides financial predictability for their project. So if we do a rate increase and their project crosses years, they don't then have to have that rate increase. Row 5, stormwater fund, revenues were 4% or $192,000 over budget. And this was driven by updates to impervious area calculations, and impervious area determines the billing for all of our multifamily and commercial. Environmental services, the trash fund, revenues are approximately $47,000 under budget, and this was due to bag fee revenue. If you remember, there was a statewide implementation, and bag fee revenues are used for the trash fund to support environmental and waste diversion programs. Thornton Development Authorities, these are our 3 TDA funds. They ended $1.5 million or 3% under budget. The largest variance here is simply related to bond proceeds. In 2025, refunded the TDA 144th debt to save money. There's no fund balance impact, and this is a budgeting exercise. So if you remove that $1.5 million, TDAs would have come in 8% or $315,000 under budget. And that was related mostly to TDA North and their sales and property tax. So I want to walk through the water fund in a little bit of detail. this slide goes through where you would have originally seen the original financial report. So the first row reflects the financial report you got in your packet. We originally budgeted $326 million in revenue, and we ended at $125 million. That's a $202 million variance. $232 million of that budget was directed towards the debt issuance, and it was ultimately not needed in 25. We're going to pull debt in 2026. So if you remove that budget, adjusted revenues would total approximately $94.2 million, which leaves us $30 million over anticipated revenues. And so that $30 million was made up of the things you see on the screen. So the first, we have water sales. So that's all of our water consumption that gets billed. That was lower. Consumption was lower than projected in 2025. And so we were $2.3 million short. Connection fees, again, back to this administrative timing change mentioned. Connection fees were collected earlier than projected. This resulted in $11 million over budget. It's important to note this is not new revenue, or it's not revenue that wasn't planned. It's just shifted into a different year. Interest, lease revenue, oil and gas, and all of our other miscellaneous items. The overage here was mostly due to interest income. So the cash spend in the water fund, the same reason we didn't need to pull debt, the cash spend was slower than anticipated, and short-term interest rates were elevated longer than we projected them to be. So these two things resulted in basically stronger than expected interest earnings. Rates have stayed higher for longer than we've seen in a direct period than the last 20 years. So it's kind of an anomaly, and it was a win for us. The final row on there is PFAS litigation. The city's received $9.9 million in 2025, and we're expecting another $6 million over the next 4 years. And this wasn't known, the number wasn't known when the budget was created. I do want to note that all of these factors above have been taken into consideration and incorporated into our future projections. So when we come back to you this summer and we talk about rate increases or fee changes, all these adjustments are going to be taken into that. All right, so moving on to the general government, similar. The first row on the slide reflects what you see in the monthly financial report. And so you're going to see $11.2 million variance. Of that $11.2 million, 8.9 relates to accounting and timing and what we would call revenue recognition, as opposed to money that we didn't plan for or was unexpected. So some examples are grant revenues. So in 2024, we expected to receive grant revenues. They didn't come in. We got them in 2025. Therefore, 2025 was over budget. We also had an unusual amount of police and fire overtime reimbursements. And so when our officers go do overtime, we then bill out certain companies. And so that revenue coming in was more than we projected. It has a matching expense on the other side. So it's a net wash to the fund. So there's really a zero impact here. We had some other accounting adjustments that total $3.6 million. They show up as revenue, but they don't necessarily impact cash. And so what I think is important to share with you that after we adjust for all these items, we're off approximately $2.3 million or 1%. And that $2.3 million represents revenues we didn't know about. They're not anticipated, and they were not in the model. So it adds to the fund balance when we go to look at next year's numbers. So let's talk about what makes up that $2.3 million. Sales tax we've been talking about all year. Sales tax came in below budget by $3.3 million. The 2025 budget assumed we'd have 2.7% inflationary growth, and that didn't materialize. We were lucky to have a one-time offset from an audit assessment that was very large, and that helped cover that loss. That loss in sales tax revenue, though, it kind of sets the new base for going into the next year. So we're incorporating that into our projections. Other taxes, and this is your property tax, franchise, motel, utility taxes. Those all came in $500,000 below budget. All of these, the shortfall was offset by charges for services. So Charges for services, and we talked about this last time, was 1.2 million over budget. This is primarily that ambulance revenue that we talked about. There's higher transports, connection fee, or higher transports, and collections were better than expected. We also had a fee increase in that time that led to some of that increase. Next, we have investment income. So this is kind of a one-time anomaly. We are $1.8 million over budget. Again, that was that short-term return on investment. Intergovernmental and miscellaneous revenue combined, when you add up kind of everything else that's out there, came in $700,000 under budget. And that gets us back to that $2.3 million. We've been looking at this slide last year and all of this year. This graph shows our residential permits in Thornton. This is multifamily and single family permits. And what we're seeing here is the same trend that Denver's seeing, the same trend Colorado's seeing, and the same trend that nationally we're seeing. So we had some strong construction through 2022. You'll see, 21, 22. And then as mortgage rates increased, mortgage rates in 2021 were averaged about 3%. In 2024 and 25, they more than doubled. They were averaging closer to 7%. This combined, we watched the market kind of slow down. What we are seeing is that we have a little bit of recovery going on in 2025. So we expected 350 permits in 2025. We ended with 477. In 2026, we're projecting that number to be a little bit higher, 625 permits, and that includes 125 multifamily permits that are in the chain. All these revenues tied to residential growth, most of them are one-time revenues. It hits building permits, it hits use tax. We talked about connection fees earlier, so revenues from growth across all the different city funds. So shifting gears a little bit, we're going to talk about citywide sales tax as a whole. So sales tax is the primary revenue stream for TDA North, TDA 144th, Parks and Open Space gets sales tax, and the general government. The general fund alone makes up, sales tax all by itself makes up 50% of revenues. So any change in sales tax in any one of these categories can have a pretty big shift financially. So what this slide shows is sales tax revenue by category. On the left, the pie chart shows the makeup of our sales tax base. Our largest categories make up 3/4 of our sales tax. So that's general merchandise, grocery, convenience and liquor, followed by auto sales, and restaurant and fast food. And then on the right, you'll see the year-over-year change by category. So this gives you an idea how our businesses are doing in 2025 compared to how they were doing in 2024. So overall, the collections were 0.4%, or about $500,000 year over year. Very modest growth. You can see that the general merchandise category was kind of in line with inflation. There's a small increase in grocery, and then the two main categories that saw declines were the 5% in auto sales, and then construction and building materials down 16%. And this decline is right in line with what we just talked about on the previous slide. So building materials generate a significant amount of construction use tax and sales tax. So when development slows down, that category always slows down with it. I think from an economic standpoint, we're seeing that there's kind of a steady consumer spending in everyday goods, and then slower activity in those one-time, more expensive items. When we compare this to broader trends, similar to the housing market, they're very consistent with Colorado, and the nationally retail sales grew 2 to 3%, most of that coming from general merchandise. So we're in line with that. And then again, I just want to close with, similar to all of our revenue streams, all of this is incorporated into our 2027 projection. So when we come in front of you to talk about budget for 2027, we'll be incorporating all these results and walking them forward with our best knowledge, so we can give you appropriate revenues to work with for 2027. And I'm going to pass it over to Erica to give you the expenditure side.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. I'm Erica Senna, Budget Director. So speaking on the expenditure side of the House, so this table shows a summary of all of our operating expenditures for the year. Again, as Kim mentioned, these are preliminary numbers. They'll be preliminary until I think the audit is finalized. So we have each operating fund listed on the left, followed by preliminary actuals. Middle column there is the budget, followed by projected over or under, and then over under by percentage. So I think the big picture takeaway here is that we had savings in all funds. We were under budget in all funds. We're going to go into more detail on what were the main drivers of all of those savings on the next couple of slides. But you might be asking, where do the savings go? And they go basically back into the fund that they're being generated from to be reappropriated at a later date by council. So speaking specifically about the general fund, we had a few really big main drivers. So we had about $9 million of savings in the general fund. That's about 4% overall under budget. I have to say that this is actually one of the, outside of 2020, this is probably the largest amount of savings I've seen in any given year in the time that I've been working in budget. I think a lot of the drivers, though, were things that we had anticipated and in some instances actually sort of caused. So the first one there is the largest driver is about $4 million in personnel savings. So personnel includes anything from regular savings to all of the downstream costs, so like Social Security, retirement contributions, health insurance, et cetera. This savings was generated from a number of factors, one of the largest factors being that we had about between a 4 and 5% vacancy rate this year. We budget a 2% vacancy rate, so anything over that 2% rate, we're actually generating savings. This was in part due to the city holding certain positions vacant as we prepared for the reorg. We did look into what is national average for vacancies. This year, it was actually a little bit lower than normal. It's at about 4%, but anywhere from 3% to 5% is considered sort of normal. We also, anything that so any vacancy savings, that's going to generate savings in regular salaries, but it's also going to generate savings in those downstream accounts. So we saw savings in Social Security, retirement contributions, and health insurance as well due to these vacancies. We also, there was some overestimation of retirement contributions in 25. You'll notice, and I should have mentioned this earlier, you'll notice that there are asterisks next to many of these items. And when you see that asterisk, what that means is that these were either one-time savings that we aren't anticipating in 2026, or they are savings that we had begun to notice in the middle of 25, and we actually incorporated those savings into the 26 budget. So again, they're unlikely to repeat. As Kim mentioned, we did see an increase in off-duty pay. So on the police side, I believe it's called off-duty. On the fire side, it tends to be for wildland fire support. So where Kim saw an increase in revenues, we actually saw an increase in expenditures in those areas. As she mentioned, it nets out, sort of washes out at the end of the day. So that was an area in personnel where we actually saw increased spending. The next biggest driver in the general fund was in contractual services. Contractual services includes a whole lot of expenses. It includes things like our red light camera lease, so any lease payments we have. It includes fuel,
our vehicle services. So we saw about 2.6 million in contractual services savings. A lot of this was tied into timing. You know, when did these things, when were these items implemented? So red light cameras, we had budgeted for a full year of red light cameras. We wound up implementing much later in the year, and actually the overall cost of the program, even on an annual basis, is lower than what we had anticipated. WIRAC was set up in 2025, but I believe it's opening in 2026. So though we had budgeted a payment for them, WIRAC stands for Youth Resources Assistance Center. It used to be called The Link, for those familiar with it. We also saw some savings from fuel and our emergency facility repairs. And then our remaining savings in the general fund came from a number of items, including snow and ice supplies. We have not seen the same level of snow. I think we're talking about that later today. And so we're just not utilizing the same amount of supplies. And then we had some one-time savings in our federal forfeiture funds. Speaking to the other operating funds, so the sewer fund had about $1 million of savings. Almost 3/4 of that was related to the Metro wastewater payment that we make. About 75% of the sewer operating fund is actually dedicated to a payment that goes to Metro. This was a savings generated by timing. So the Metro board decides charges in the middle of the year. It just so happened that we brought budget forward before those were finalized. Stormwater fund was really right on the money, so there's nothing of note there. I think it was about 1% under budget. Sanitation had about $450,000 of savings. This was a mix of items, including fuel savings, a little bit of personnel, some savings in FVS or fleet maintenance, and then a small amount in miscellaneous contracted services savings. Our water fund saw savings in personnel due to vacancies and water treatment savings. So Kim mentioned this on the revenue side, that we didn't see water charges coming in, revenues coming in as high. On a different side of the coin, we also didn't spend as much money treating water as we had projected. And then the risk fund, we had savings pretty much exclusively coming from our Cigna claims. This is due to our practice of budgeting max claims. So we had about $3 million of savings from max claims to the claims we actually experienced. So this is an item that I typically don't talk about on a quarterly basis. This is related to our capital savings or capital funds. So capital funds work a little bit differently than the operating funds. Operating funds are basically set up for a year. At the end of the year, they close out. The capital funds can roll from year to year. So when you look at it in the monthly financial report that comes out, the amount that's showing up as appropriated isn't just what was appropriated in any given year. It is actually what was appropriated and any budgets that have rolled from prior year as well, because some of these capital projects can take years to complete. An example would be the Thornton Water Project. But staff is continuously looking at these capital projects. And so at the end of the year, budget, finance, purchasing, and IT, I didn't give IT a shout out here, but we all work together to review all of our capital accounts and figure out which accounts can be closed out. Those accounts that are closed out, all of the savings are basically like pushed into a contingency account that then gets closed out at the end of the year. It's very similar to those operating funds. When we have savings, the savings just goes back into fund balance for council to reappropriate at a later date. So what are some key takeaways from this presentation? I think of this as sort of the so what slide. So I think one thing that's really important, and Kim and I have kind of been mentioning it throughout this presentation, is that the performance that we've talked with you all about here has been integrated into our forward projections. So they've been integrated into our financial models moving forward, and oftentimes they were integrated before we even talked about the 2026 budget in some instances. By integrating them and updating our models regularly, it helps us to have informed policy and budget discussions with you all. Again, the majority of these funds ended in a better position than was anticipated, but in large part, both on the expenditure side and on the revenue side, these were one-time variances or temporary variances. Citywide, and Kim mentioned this, sales tax is a huge driver for us, and it's not just in the general fund, it's across multiple funds. And what we saw this year was basically sales tax being flat, even though inflation wasn't. And so what that says to us, that kind of puts up a red flag for us, and it tells us that we need to keep our eye on sales tax. So that's something that Kim's team is doing all throughout this year. We're looking at it every single month to see how it's performing this year. And then lastly, we are seeing a reduction in federal funding across a variety of programs, and there are just general budget concerns at the state. I don't think I'm telling you guys anything you don't already know. But what I think we're seeing is there's additional pressure on the city, both with those reduced revenue streams, and we're seeing increasing pressure to provide levels of service that were previously covered by other entities. So again, I think that this is just something that staff has, we're just kind of keeping it front of mind as we continue modeling and continue budgeting. State forecasts. So this is one thing that staff looks at quarterly. The Colorado Legislative Council puts out a quarterly economic forecast, and it's something that we look at kind of for two reasons. One, we want to see if there's anything out there that that helps us refine our projections, but it also acts a little bit as a way for us to confirm, is what we're seeing very different from the rest of the state, and if so, why? And I think the big takeaway here is that we're pretty in line with what the state is seeing as a whole. So the state is seeing a slowdown in hiring and rising unemployment rates. Overall, those unemployment rates are still pretty low in the state, but they are sort of slowly ticking up. How does that translate in Thornton? It translates by, we might see reduced spending on discretionary items, which Kim mentioned earlier. The next one is growth in retail sales have not kept up with inflation. The state is forecasting that to continue through 2026, and then they believe it could rebound in 2027. And then Kim mentioned this as well, residential construction is forecasted to remain limited and well below what we saw directly after the pandemic. And I will turn it back over to Kim.
Just to wrap up, the next steps, and the reason these are preliminary numbers and we're sitting in March, we have to go through a year-end close process. So we align all of our books, make sure they're all under GASB standards. Auditors come in, they'll audit us for our internal controls. They'll do some compliance testing. They'll audit all of our grants, federal grants, some of the state grants get audited. And then they'll do an independent audit of all of our financial statements. And then once that's completed, they'll come back to council. That's scheduled for June 9th. And then we'll be able to issue our final numbers to the state, which is due on June 30th. While that's happening, over the next few months, we're still closing January, we're closing February, we're still walking through each month like we normally would. We're still analyzing data, making sure that we're watching for trends. So we haven't stopped time. And so you'll still get those financial reports in your packet each month. And with that, we'll take questions.
Councilmember Byrd?
So I have one question, and then I have kind of a follow-up ask as well. The question is do we see any kind of potential impact as far as consumer water sales going into this next year, given the current situations of the drought conditions? And then my follow-up ask is regarding the vacancy rate. I would love to get more of a breakdown on what that looks like as far as our first responders departments, and then also how that plays into that 3.2 million in overtime.
I can sort of answer your first question. If we were to experience the 10% reduction in consumption that we would like to see, that is $6.5 million if it was, averaged out. And so I shared with you earlier is that the water fund had some additional interest income, and we had that PFAS revenue. So all that will get baked in. When we start to look at how 2026 is going to play out, we're going to make sure that we reduce our forecast by that consumption. So
I can try to address, we'll follow up with more additional information on first responders, just to clarify the feedback about positions we've been holding in light of the reorganization. That hasn't impacted first responders. And but we'll get you the kind of the pattern of that. So ultimately in both police and fire, you'll see a pattern, and we can show a few years so you can see this. Well, we'll accumulate some vacancies, and then it's a prolonged training period to get police and firefighters through. So we'll kind of accumulate a class. So you'll see a vacancy rate climb just a little bit, and then you'll see it come back down. But we'll show you some information, but not only for this year, but prior years, so you can see that trend.
Councilmember Morris?
Hey, thanks for the presentation tonight. Super helpful and super interesting, believe it or not. The sales tax discussion is something that, just like you said, like red flag, like really kind of stands out to me as, there's this big looming thing that we need to figure out how to really get in front of. And I know that's a multi-year, process, but I had just a couple questions. As far as sales tax data goes, how granular can we get with that data? Like distributing trends, locations?
Yeah. I will say our current system getting granular is kind of a manual process, but we do go through, we always look at our top 100 every single month. So we say, what did our top 100 do compared to what they did last year? And then we always, that top 100 can change a little bit. And so that's, there's some curiosity there. Why'd they fall off? Why'd they change? So from a public sharing perspective, we can get as granular as categories, right? We can get down to maybe a category and award. What we can't give you is a specific business. So if for some reason there was one business in Ward 1 and they were the only business that did that, we wouldn't be able to share that data. But otherwise we can get pretty granular. We can break out, grocery store, fast food from restaurants. So we could break out, delivery services from that category. So definitely more granular than I showed you tonight.
Okay.
But yeah, if there's something specific, if you want to look at it by ward, we could probably make that happen.
Yeah, I don't expect you to have the answers tonight. This would be one of those items maybe bring up in a discussion during a planning session that, because I am curious too how like the analysis of our sales tax generation, the trends that we're seeing and the forecasting and how that ties to like our economic development policy, how those are talking, and how we're kind of working together on that. But I think that is a pretty bigger discussion. So I'd love to figure out when we can do that at some point. And then the second question, do you anticipate any cliffs in the coming years related to sales tax revenue? Like we have agreements between like Westminster and Thornton along the I-25, Orchard Town Center being one of those. Any big things like that?
There is one this year, Westminster. We just gave them their last payment. That means they gave us their last payment. So we're no longer doing that. We were giving them about $4.5 million a year. They were giving us $4.5 million a year. We were giving them $1.5 million. So a little imbalance. So we're going to lose some revenue for that. We've incorporated that. We've adjusted for it. In 2028, we're going to bring in TDA revenue as the TDA expires. And so there's actually a bump at that year. And so we're planning for all those kind of ups and downs. But besides Westminster, there's nothing that we can see in the near future that would drop substantially. So.
Okay, great. Awesome. That's all I have. Thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other questions from council? All right, I just had one quick question. And I think it goes along with what Councilmember Morris was saying, just, the concern around sales tax, and it might be a more of something to dig in deeper, but I was just wondering, kind of what policy actions council can take to kind of help, bring up sales tax. And so maybe if that's part of a discussion when we're looking at granular numbers, if you can give us some suggestions of things that maybe we can do around the policy side with economic development to help bolster our sales tax, that would be super helpful.
I don't have an answer for that tonight, but I think that sharing with you kind of what categories bring in sales tax and what categories bring in, different varieties and what that means for the city would be helpful for council to understand. I just lost my other point. So I do think we could provide you some information that would help you kind of dig into that a little bit more. Yeah.
Great, thank you. We have a question or something from the city manager.
I just wanted to alert you that Councilmember Salazar online has a question.
Okay, Councilmember Salazar?
Could you tell me which TDA is expiring?
North, yes, TDA North.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions from council? Okay, having no further questions, it looks like we are at item 13. It's the consent calendar. Is there any member of council who would like to remove an item from the consent calendar? Being that there isn't, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Approval of the consent calendar as presented has been moved and seconded. Clerk, please read the appropriate titles into the record and poll the council.
An ordinance approving the annexation of approximately 22 acres of land situated on the southeast corner of Section 2, Township 1 South, Range 68 West on the 6th Principal Meridian, County of Adams, State of Colorado, generally located south of East 164th Avenue and west of Highway 7, and assigning the annexed property to Ward 4, 164th Avenue and Highway 7, Royal Point East. An ordinance approving a zoning amendment for approximately 21 acres of land generally located south of East 164th Avenue and west of Highway 7, 164th Avenue and Highway 7, Royal Point East. An ordinance approving an annexation of approximately 8 acres of land situated in the southwest corner of Section 2, Township 1 South, Range 68 West of the 6th Principal Meridian, County of Adams, State of Colorado, generally located north of East 160th Avenue and east of the Bull Canal, and assigning the annexed property to Ward 4, 164th Avenue and Highway 7, Royal Point West. An ordinance approving a zoning amendment for approximately 8 acres of land generally located north of East 160th Avenue and east of the Bull Canal, 164th Avenue and Highway 7, Royal Point West. An ordinance approving a zoning amendment for approximately 73 acres of land generally located north of East 160th Avenue, east of the Bull Canal, south of East 164th Avenue, and west of Highway 7, 164th Avenue, and Highway 7, Royal Point Central. Mayor Pro Tem Ayala, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Byrd?
Yes.
Councilmember Morris?
Yes.
Councilmember Russell?
Yes.
Councilmember Salazar?
Yes.
Councilmember Acunto?
Yes.
Councilmember Algie?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously, Your Honor.
Thank you. Item 14 is item 14A is a resolution declaring stage 1 moderate to severe drought response and authorizing the utilities director to promulgate rules and regulations for the conservation of water in the city of Thornton Water Service area. Emily Hunt, interim infrastructure director, will present this item.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. Again, my name is Emily Hunt. I'm the interim Utilities and Infrastructure Director, here to talk to you about water supply conditions and to recommend the adoption of Stage 1 drought. So our agenda tonight will overview current conditions, the impact of those conditions to the city's water supply, what actually implementation of a Stage 1 drought declaration looks like, as well as what sorts of resources we'll be offering our customers should council elect to move into that. So current drought conditions, I think everybody's been hearing all about this. I won't belabor it, but the statewide, we are in significant drought. On the left, you see the drought monitoring page as of earlier or late last month. Pretty much the entire state, the watersheds that Thornton relies on are in drought. We really focus on snowpack. Snowpack translates into stream flows. Stream flows fill our reservoirs. And so we look primarily at the upper South Platte snowpack as well as the Clear Creek snowpack because that's where Thornton's water supply comes from. What you see on these two graphics, the black circle and the black lines in both graphics show the trend that we're on as it relates to snowpack right now. On the vertical axis, you see what's called snow water equivalent, which is the amount of water that's in the snow. And you can see that we are well behind average and we're trending along record levels. So snowpack is looking pretty dire and we've really got only about a month and a half to make up for it. So what does that mean for our water supply? As I mentioned, the snowpack is what gives us water into our reservoirs. So we are predicting significantly less inflows into our reservoirs this spring once runoff starts. To compound that, we're seeing excessively warm temperatures in the region as well as dry temperatures, and so that causes customer demand to rise above what would normally. So it's kind of a double hit, low inflows and high usage. That usage is really in the form of irrigation. About half of the city's water goes to irrigation, and so that's really what we're focusing on is that irrigation use. Currently, our water storage is good. We're at about 83%, and that's normal for us for this time of year. We are actually preparing for a multi-year drought with these restrictions. So how we respond in year one really sets us up for how the condition of our water supply should this drought continue into multi-years. So while things look okay this summer, we need to be mindful of how we use water in order to set ourselves up for next year in case we have another poor snowpack. So we do have a drought management plan that City Council adopted in 2019, and it lays out a bunch of different criteria that we use to determine whether or not we should enter into a drought stage. So the combination of the drought conditions, the low snowpack, and our reservoir projections fall in line with the drought management plan, and we were recommending stage 1 drought declaration. What does that actually mean? Should council choose to adopt a resolution going into stage 1 drought, council then authorizes the utilities director to create rules and regulations in order to reduce water and potentially pursue additional supplies. And again, we're really looking at that 2027 water storage, not so much this summer's water storage, but the water storage for next year. So we have we're proposing the rules should council move to adopt the stage 1. We are encouraging customers not to irrigate their lawns before May 1st. There's really warm weather, things are really dry, and we understand that, but the longer that folks can wait to irrigate their lawns, the better off. It's really challenging when we have summer type demands happening in March and April. That sets us far back. So we're asking customers to hold off on a significant irrigation of their water or their lawns before May 1st. After May 1st, customers will be asked to use water 2 days a week. That's residential and commercial customers, and they'll be able to choose their own watering days. Parks departments, schools, other large water users that may not be able to do everything in 2 days, they will be required to save 10% over their last year's water use and manage their water use accordingly. We always want to prioritize health and safety, that there's always enough water for health and safety, so want to make sure that people understand that. And we also want to make sure that there's sufficient water for wildland protection. Prioritizing watering of trees and shrubs versus grass is something else that we're encouraging, so people can water their trees and shrubs by hand as they see fit. We will be monitoring people's water use, making sure that people are adhering to the rules. Our focus really is going to be on education, though. We want to spend the bulk of this summer just really making sure that people understand the rules and that they have the tools that they need in order to reach the savings that we're looking for. We'll have a robust outreach campaign for our customers so that they understand what the rules are and again, like what resources we have. We'll obviously keep council informed and we'll keep our eyes on the snowpack and the conditions and adjust as needed. Again, a little bit of a list of the ways that we'll be reaching out to customers, all of the standard city avenues. I think the one that I really want to highlight, though, is that the direct mailing that we'll be sending out, which will have irrigation schedule, a recommended irrigation schedule for those 2 days a week, depending on what types of irrigation system folks have. So that's probably one of the specific ones for the drought. We have a great water efficiency program, regardless of whether we're in a drought. And so we'll be really promoting these programs. We've got lots of great rebate programs, resources, educational materials. We want to be able to partner with our customers to help them save this water. Getting through this drought is really a community effort. And so we want to be able to provide the customers the resources they need in order to make the water savings that we're asking for this summer. And something that we're very mindful of, obviously, is the drought. With drought comes dry conditions, which comes higher fire risk. And so we want customers to make sure that they are managing their properties in a way that is both water efficient, but is also protective of any potential fire hazard. And so we've got some tips on here on how customers can make sure that their homes are fire safe, but we'll be promoting some additional resources on how to make sure we balance this reduction in water use with safety. So in terms of next step, as I mentioned, staff is recommending, pursuant to the drought plan, that council adopt a resolution adopting stage 1 drought declarations. Once that is done, we will implement the water use rules and regulations, which I described. We'll kick off our campaign, make sure that our customers have plenty of time. It's one of the reasons we wanted to get out in front of this, is to give folks time to plan how they want to manage their landscapes this year. So we'll begin our outreach campaign right away. As I mentioned, we'll continue to adjust water supplies, and if we get a massive snowstorm and get bailed out, we'll adjust it accordingly. It's happened in the past, and we'll monitor the use. So those are kind of the next steps, and that's the end of my presentation, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions from council? Okay, I will entertain a motion on item 12A.
So moved.
I'd like to introduce a resolution declaring stage 1 moderate to severe drought response and authorizing the utilities director to promulgate rules and regulations for the conservation of water in the city of Thornton water service area, and I move for its approval.
Second.
Approval of the resolution has been moved in second. Is there any discussion?
Thank you for the information. It's good to hear it a second time, and there is a tremendous amount of conversation in the community, so looking forward to all the outreach and the communication that you guys do to answer those questions of residents. So thank you again.
Councilmember Algie?
Thank you. Thank you, Emily, for the presentation, as always. And obviously, even with the snow we received Friday, still we're way down. So I like our proactive approach, so I will be supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you for the work you do, and thank you to the Water Conservation Department we have here. They know they do great work. Clerk, will you please poll the council?
Councilmember Byrd?
Yes.
Councilmember Morris?
Yes.
Councilmember Russell?
Yes.
Councilmember Salazar?
Yes.
Councilmember Junto?
Yes.
Councilmember Algie?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ayala?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously, Your Honor.
Thank you. Item 14B is a resolution approving the 2026 federal legislative agenda for the city of Thornton. Rob Kolstad, Deputy City Manager, will present this item.
Good evening. The resolution before you would adopt the 2026 federal platform. This is something that council has historically done every year to reflect your priorities on the federal stage. The legislative agenda provides guidance to coalesce council's position around these policy areas, as well as direction to staff, the city lobbyists, and ultimately in communicating your priorities to the federal delegation. As council remembers, you did review this agenda in detail on the February 24th planning session meeting. The full agenda, all 15 pages of it, is included in your packet. For benefit of the Thank you. For benefit of the public, I just would like to briefly cover the recommended priorities. There are 7 of them in this year's agenda. First one being local control and local funding, which really centers around federal support for city priorities, especially our engagement in the Congressional Directed Spending Program, also known as earmarks. Transportation focuses on improvements for I-25 and Colorado 7, as well as more broadly funding for surface transportation programs. Public safety includes ongoing support for programs that the city has benefited from over the years, whether it's the community-oriented policing cops hiring program, the AFG Assistance to Firefighters Grant, or SAFER, which I cannot remember what the acronym is for, but it's for hiring firefighters. Continuation of all those programs is highlighted in the agenda. Water security is really focused on regulations around safe drinking water, and specifically our ongoing treatment of PFAS. Housing focuses on continued programs and programmatic support and funding for things like our CDBG program, home funding, and PABs, or private activity bonds, which again all support development of affordable housing and support for those in need in our community. Sustainability really boils down to funding, looking for ways to leverage funding in the area of sustainability at the federal level. And then finally, at Council's direction, we added a seventh priority for older adults. Specifically, this priority identifies the Older Americans Act, of reauthorization of that program and funding, along with ongoing support for health and human services programs, and then more broadly speaks to issues of housing, transportation, and safety specific to our older adult community. So that's the brief summary. Happy to answer any questions. Know that you all have spent some time talking about this. Also aware that you will be heading to NLC next week to DC. So we will, following adoption, hopeful adoption of this agenda, gets along with this document some specific talking points for those of you that are traveling out. With that, again, we'd recommend approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions from council? All right, I'll entertain a motion on item 14B.
I'd like to introduce a resolution approving the 2026 federal legislative agenda for the city of Thornton, and I move for its approval.
Second.
Approval of the resolution has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I'll just say thanks to Rob and the team for preparation of these priorities and for the help for the upcoming NLC conference and the future DC trip.
Thank you for all your work on this as always, Rob. The city clerk will now poll the council.
Councilmember Morris?
Yes.
Councilmember Russell?
Yes.
Councilmember Salazar?
Yes.
Councilmember Acunto?
Yes.
Councilmember Algie?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ayala?
Yes.
Councilmember Byrd?
Yes.
Motion passed unanimously, Your Honor.
Thank you. Item 15 is adjournment. Having no further business, we will adjourn the meeting here at 9:35 p.m.